Nothing on this show is authorized by the Food and Drug Administration, and nothing said here is intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease. Contact your physician before starting a diet or exercise regimen, including supplementation. This is not medical advice and is for entertainment purposes only.
Go ahead.
We're going to take it?
Go for it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Subworks podcast, and today we are so pleased to host the man with the coolest name that you've never heard of, Mr. Yadu Dar of Plantible Foods. Yadu, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joey. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, it's a pretty unique name, that's for sure. Both Yadu and Plantible.
You sound like you're a Star Wars character.
It could be.
So, Yadu typically lives in Chicago.
Typically? What do you mean typically?
I mean,
when I'm not here.
yeah, he typically
Texas.
lives in Texas.
Yeah, you come here quite often, huh?
I do.
Or in San Diego.
Or in San Diego.
But yeah, like I met Yadu probably a year ago, and it was one of those weird things where I found an ingredient that I wanted, and I'm like, you know, hey, I want what you have.
Well, let's back this up. You called me, probably like a year ago, and you were telling me about this.
Yeah.
You were watching like Animal Planet or something that you do.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about it, and you're like, I gotta find it. I think someone in Texas has it.
Yes.
That's what he
And
said to me.
I was pulling up Google Maps and everything, and I'm like, it looks like it's pretty desolate out here. It doesn't look like it's a manufacturing facility.
West Central Texas. That's
Well,
what
the thing about the pictures on Google Maps were from like a long time ago, probably before the facility was really even there.
Joey was on Google Maps trying to hunt you guys down, telling us about it. And I'm like, whatever, Joey does this to me all the time. So I'm like, okay, Joey.
No,
Yeah.
it was cool because, I connected with him and he came to visit us in San Diego. That's how we first met. He was in San Diego meeting somebody else, and we spent half a day together, and it was good. I mean, lots of shared vision of success, the power of Lemna, the power of the greens. It was pretty cool.
So, to give everyone a background, like, you're not new to the functional food and beverage and supplement game. Like, tell them about like where you started in all this.
Well, I'm an engineer by training. I started in the food industry about 20 years ago, and most of my life was done developing new ingredients. So I've spent most of my time in the food and beverage and nutrition ingredients industry. So things like texturizers, fibers, flours, nutritional ingredients that help make everyday foods and life better for everybody. So I used to work for a fairly large ingredient manufacturer. And then a couple of years ago, I met Tony, who shared his vision of what he wanted to do with his new aquaculture platform and all that stuff. And here I am. I mean, I jumped into Plantible, and it's been a very, very exciting journey so far.
Tell me about that transition. Like when you met, he told you it was an aquaculture platform. That's a very cool way of putting it.
So I didn't know. I said, you mean hydroponics? And he said, no, well, it's different. It's aquaculture is
You
like.
could say it is.
I think there's a lot of technicality in terms of you grow something that grows on land and water. It kind of becomes hydroponics. Aquaculture, I think, is its own little section where these are aquatic plants. So these are plants that grow in water. You're just controlling the environment and the way you grow them to make them the best plant that they can be.
I have an obsession with aquatic plants.
He does.
Because there's so little known about them as far as like their phytonutrient profile. Because I don't know, there's like if you look at a couple of algae, spirulina, chlorella, Humatococcus, like those are pretty well characterized. There's a lot of different kelp is really well characterized, and a lot of seaweeds are well characterized. But then there's like a whole bunch of other ones that I like, the floaters, and which Lemna is part of that. But like and it wasn't Planet Earth. It was the Green Planet that I was watching, which is David Attenborough's BBC documentary all about plants. And they have one about freshwater plants, and there are so many freshwater plants that they don't need soil. So like that's when you talk about aquaculture, hydroponic, it's like you could say it's hydroponic because you don't need soil. You could also call it aquaculture because those plants belong in the water.
It's so true. And the funny thing about Lemna as a plant is, people, when you say, a lot of times I describe to people what I do, and I say, we do Lemna. Some people know it as duckweed. Some people call it water lentils.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, that's like algae. And I'm like,
Not
no, it's not. It's like a complete, like it's like calling an oak tree a pine tree. I mean, they're both
Yeah, they're
aquatic
trees.
plants, but the similarity kind of ends right there. So lemna is very unique because it kind of floats on the surface of the water. It doesn't grow underwater. And I think that makes it so much more efficient at capturing light and oxygen and nutrients from the water. And it's just this tiny, I mean, you've seen it. It's like this tiny little leaf, and the whole leaf is the entire plant.
Let's put it up right here.
And it grows like crazy. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That is
we have
full of.
We have some in a bag here that Yadu brought us.
Absolutely. This is from our plant in Texas. I mean, this is the lemna that we work with. And each of those little mini leaves that you see.
And it does look like a lentil.
Yeah.
It does have a tiny little root, though.
It's got a little stem to it, but it's basically the whole thing. And there's different types of lemna.
There it is on my finger.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is.
So it's tiny little green lentils is kind of what they look like. But it's a beautiful color. Absolutely gorgeous, like lime green. That's so vibrant.
So tell me more about like Tony. I mean, this guy, how long ago did he approach you about
He's
this?
a charismatic character from.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
So I think I first met Tony about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, we had a common connection. So there's somebody I used to work with was working with Tony at the time. And he introduced us saying, hey, you guys, you should talk. I mean, that was kind of the conversation. So I met Tony at a trade show. I think it was in San Francisco. And it was kind of interesting to see, he's such an energetic guy. And he's got such a strong vision. And he really loves to convince you about how he and the vision that he's sharing can change the world, change how the world eats. In different ways. So it was very nice to connect with him and to share some of that vision. And you kind of feel empowered to see what can I do to change the world, as you know, because I mean, I always feel like that because every time I've done stuff in my life, I've always wanted to make new things. That's been the thing that kind of drives me forward. And I've invented a lot of stuff. I have patents, I have books, I have all kinds of articles. I've launched so many products. But every time, you know, that little bit of you that you put out in the world is exciting. And here is this guy who's creating an entire platform to reinvent agriculture and creating a new way to look at protein, which I was very impressed by. So, I mean, it was a great meeting. And we met again a few times over the year, in different places. Always a good conversation. He's a great guy.
He is quite a presence. Well, he's like 6'7" or something like that. He's pretty tall.
From where I stand, he looks like he's almost 7 feet tall. But yeah.
He's not from Earth.
Yeah. He's got a presence to him.
Yeah,
for sure.
when you meet him, you're like, that guy's not from Earth. But sometimes that's what it takes in order to do something revolutionary. And I kind of agree with what they're doing. So like, there's a lot of different themes that like tie into the missions here. It's about protein. It's about micronutrients. It's about sustainability. And the sustainability play, there's a lot of different ways of looking at that.
It's a super plant.
It's
a super plant that no one's heard of yet.
Well, I think a lot of people have heard of it. They just may not know that that's what they're talking about. Because,
all of our fans in Florida, like, you know, they've got swamps and everything, and they see like the pictures with the alligators with this stuff on their nose. Like that's probably the most common way that you might have seen this. Or if you're just driving along anywhere in the South and you see it, like it's just floating on top of the water. And it's called duckweed because it gets stuck to ducks' feet.
Yeah.
And
It's
ducks
everywhere.
eat it.
It's everywhere. And the thing is, people know the plant. They've seen it forever. What people may not know is how nutritious the plant is. So I think in certain Eastern countries, so I think Thailand comes to mind, Japan comes to mind, people have been consuming duckweed for a long time. So they know the plant itself. They know why it's a nutritional superfood. But here in the U.S., I think the plant itself is not new, but its nutritional benefits and why people should consume duckweed on a very, very, as part of their daily diet, I think is a new thing.
I think it'd be interesting, even if you guys like sold this as a microgreen to restaurants, if you like garnish mashed potatoes with it or something like that, where it would look neat.
I think if people want that, that's definitely an option to consider. I think
purely
that's doable. It's doable.
Somewhat functional.
you'd need to eat a lot of it to kind of get all the benefits. So that's where I think either you making protein from it or making greens from it kind of helps concentrate those benefits and get them out to people in a more effective way.
I would totally eat a soup with this stuff floating on top.
Oh, we made a soup with the greens and the stuff floating on top. It's delicious. Cream of lemna is what we call it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we've yet to see this as like a commercial supplement ingredient in a large commercial scale yet, right? There's not really anything.
Historically, you guys have mostly gone after food customers, right?
Yeah. So I think historically, the first flagship product that we manufactured was called Ruby Protein. And Ruby Protein, I mean, it's kind of like a playful way of referring to the Rubisco, which is the main component of lemna protein, which is like really a magic protein. It's an amazing protein. And then that's the product that we commercialized first.
So explain the protein content, because I think people are going to be kind of blown away about how much protein is in here.
A factoid about Ruby or Rubisco protein, it's the most common protein on Earth because it's in all of plant life.
True. It's probably the most common protein on Earth, and it's probably one of the best tolerated and digested protein on Earth. I think I had a friend who used to say, yeah, Rubisco makes me happy. Because, I mean, that's why people eat salad. You know, there's this colloquialism that says you eat salad to get a smile on your face. And it's all the Rubisco that makes you, it's healthy protein and all the micronutrients that get you going.
There's also other Rubisco proteins that can like trigger, feel-good chemicals. Like they'll hit opiate receptors. There's all kinds of like interesting bioactives of Rubisco.
Oh, now you're getting into serious metabolic
I need
conversion.
a Joey science breakdown. These always make the best clips. So we need the breakdown from Joey on the amount of protein per volume, why that's incredible. You have some notes here. You explain here in the first notes of like how fast this reproduces, which is super sustainable, right? Go ahead.
You want me to spiel on this?
I need you to do your 1 minute.
All right. So the cool thing about this, even though Rubisco is the most common protein on Earth, the reason why lemna produces so much of it is because it is so highly photosynthetic. And Rubisco plays a crucial role to the whole photosynthesis process. And we were talking about how there's a freeze just came into town and at their plant out in El Dorado, Texas. And it knocked out quite a bit of the population, but not to worry because lemna is so robust that it will double its population in as little as 24 to 36 hours. So it will just multiply right back. And it's like you never missed a beat. By the time the weather's good again, it's already replenished itself. So it's very vigorous in its ability to populate anything. So they've got it running in what are called these like tracks. They're pools that look like basically like a NASCAR track. And it's got a paddle wheel that keeps everything flowing and motivated. So as long as it's got CO2, as long as it's got sunlight, and as long as it's got movement, it's a very happy, healthy kind of plant. The protein itself is really cool because it's one of the only vegan sources of a complete protein. And by complete protein, we mean it has all essential amino acids. And it's got a PDCAS or a protein digestibility corrected amino acid score of 1.0, which is right on par with whey protein. Soy doesn't have this, pea doesn't have this, all the other proteins. Like you'd have to cobble together some sort of a hodgepodge of pumpkin and pea and rice and what have you in order to get a PDCAS of 1. This has it all, like in one plant. And as far as that's concerned, like this is a really good thing for vegans. Like
how much protein per volume did you say Ruby was?
So their specification's 85%, which is cool because it's in between concentrate and isolate when we think about wheys.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And I mean, by the way, Joey, you got to keep going with this because I mean, the more time I spend with you, the more I can see how to do my job because it's really cool.
He'll sell it.
I'm good at doing explainers and I love getting excited about the simplest of things in life. That's what I like.
Joey's going to put those in his fish tank and just completely ooh and all over.
It's going to go over. I mean, what you're saying is so true. I mean, we saw a good example of the robustness of duckweed or lemna this week. I mean, temperatures in Texas were well below freezing. West Central Texas went down to about I think it was less than 20 Fahrenheit.
You were covered in ice.
And there was like snow, ice everywhere. It was crazy.
It just bounces right back.
And I mean, I was there this week, and we're running. I mean, it's amazing to see how we had to stop in the freezing time because I think it's just there's too much ice and snow on the ground.
Well, remember we went down to El Dorado and we got some footage when you first opened the plant.
Went to the ribbon cutting.
We did. First of all, El Dorado's awesome. West Texas is amazing.
Yeah.
And man, it's such a cool spot because just to see it, all these, like you said, racetracks, and they're, you're out in El Dorado and everything's kind of brown. Everything's red and brown.
That's right.
There's not a lot of trees out there.
A lot of dirt, a lot of shrubs.
And then you have these racetracks that are like lime green, large, long racetracks that are vibrantly lime green. So it kind of catches your eye.
That's true.
Now
Well, hopefully you can't see them from the street
You
because
can't
we
because
got
they're
them well
covered.
covered. Yeah.
They're covered. But yeah, when you look at them up close, it's like such a stark contrast.
I'm going to see if I can get Ed to pull up the satellite view because that would be we'll do that and then we'll show him the website. So I'm going to text this over to Ed.
And we got to edit up that footage.
Yeah, we do. But I also want to go back out there and I want to shoot some new footage when there's not a ribbon cutting going on.
I think that'd be great. And I think we have some new ponds that we just built. So you could actually come in and shoot one of the new ponds.
So we were there, in July or August? Mm-hmm. And you were doing a ribbon cutting on new ponds. And since then, you've put in how many new ponds?
I think another 12.
12 new ponds? And you're doing a fundraise for another 50?
Well, we're set to do another 50 ponds in 2026.
Yeah.
So that's going to be well over 70 ponds that we're going to get once we're done with everything. So it's a lot of growth.
They're like a mile
time.
long, right? Each like
Half a kilometer.
Okay.
So they look like a mile long because they're very narrow. And I think the technical term they use is raceway ponds. So, I mean, they're raceway ponds. So you kind of go around and then it's important to keep the water and the lemna moving. I mean, that's one of the expertise that we've developed over time is how to get the environment just right for the plant to grow. Because the plant will grow. I mean, that's what it does, right? It grows like crazy. But making it grow evenly and producing all the things that we need in the right way it takes a little bit of design.
a little finesse.
That's right.
All right, let's go into sort of the bullet points here because it does a lot. But I think one of the protein is obviously the big one. But that's just one component.
Well, I mean, we could stay on Ruby, but like the reasons why you guys use it in food, like your target demographic really is about being a replacement.
Well, it's really not. I think it's more about it enhances the overall food experience, right? I mean, you can treat the way we think about it is people have, when you look at cars, we have self-driving cars like Tesla. You look at telephones, you got like this iPhone now, which is so powerful. You're like holding a big supercomputer in your hand from a long time ago. But when you take the food industry, you're sort of still using agricultural practices and techniques from, 3,000 years ago with minor tweaks to it. So I think the main factor, which is super cool, is how do you sustainably grow crops that are nutritious in ways that have not been done before? So the whole concept of aquaculture is kind of cool because, I mean, you pointed out West Central Texas. I know Joey's pointing where we are right now. So that's kind of like from more than a year ago. So
yeah,
all those little things that you see down there, those are all places, they're little channels where the greenhouses would be built. So this whole thing is now built out.
The whole thing.
So you saw part of that when you were there in July.
We saw the left half.
That's right.
Was done.
And so half of that is kind of done, and then the other half we're finishing, and then we're going to go further out and do a whole bunch more.
So how much land do you have that whole square?
We have that whole square and a bit more than that, an option for even more than that if we wanted.
How did you guys acquire this land?
Oh, that's a story, right? I think when Tony and Moritz, who are our founders, they decided to do this, they first landed up in San Diego. And they lived in, literally, they lived in a trailer on a farm. They got a farm for a very reasonable, a greenhouse farm where they used to grow something else. And they thought maybe this is where we could start with growing our duckweed.
It's got good weather.
It's got great weather. And there's like a lot of good environment. So they literally got a trailer. And during COVID, I think there was about almost a year where they lived on the farm in the trailer because, it was very difficult to.
I took a tour and I saw the original trailers.
Yes.
Of where they stayed in San Diego.
Reminds you of a certain TV show, right?
Like Breaking Bad.
That's exactly right. I mean, they were cooking white powder, except the white powder was Rubisco. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And from there, I think they decided that they had to scale out. And then they were looking for a combination of. So our first commercial unit is a modular. I hate to call it a demonstration unit, but that's what it is.
In San Diego?
No, in Texas, because it shows you that this can be done. Like, how many farming areas do you think exist in West Central Texas? Like, not a whole lot, right?
No. And there's not much that can grow out there.
No, and the fact that we have successfully created all of these greenhouses, these ponds, and we're growing all this crop sustainably and shipping commercially out of there in itself is proof of concept that you can go to a rural community in the middle of Texas, great people, but it's very small. Like, the town of El Dorado is about, 1,300 people in it?
Tiny town.
It's very tiny.
Yeah.
It's always been tiny. As I had dinner with somebody yesterday who was born in El Dorado, and he said it used to be 2,000 people, and now it's kind of down to 1,300.
Yeah.
Well, having a facility like ours gives, most other employers in the area are oil and gas, right? People go out, work the oil fields, but that's about the only quote-unquote high-tech employment opportunity that you get for miles. Then if you go 50 miles out, then there's town of San Angelo, and there's some other things there. But in El Dorado, setting up this modular farm, all of a sudden people have highly technical jobs. They're actually working as people in the plant, people in the quality area. So it's kind of nice to see a community that's impacted through something which is truly transformational. And then the other piece to that is obviously sustainability. So, it took me a few months to realize that even though we grow plants in water, we actually use a lot less water than traditional agriculture.
Well, that was another things about the efficiency play on this, because when you compare it to soy or pea protein, you use less water because it's not getting absorbed into the ground, going down, and it's not evaporating coming off because you got it trapped in the greenhouse and you're kind of reusing and recycling that water as it goes. And it's really neat because by doing that, you have zero heavy metal risk.
So we have to control for that. So we have to control for, you're so right. See, these plants are so amazing. You're talking earlier about the nutritional characterization of them.
Yeah.
What you have to understand is that the environment that they grow in totally controls what come out of them because they're like sieves. They will capture a lot of things in the environment. If you give them good things, they will capture good things. If you give them harmful things, they may also capture harmful things. So our job is to make sure that we feed them what we want to feed the world.
So in your facility in San Diego, did you guys ever look at your nutrient levels and try to optimize for
100%.
Rubisco?
It's one of our core skill sets. So looking at the variety of Rubisco that grows most efficiently, the nutrient profile for that variety to make sure that the Rubisco is happy, but even more, it's got a well-balanced nutritional, the proteins right, the fibers right, everything, all the micronutrients are going in a good direction. That's something that, you don't really design for that because you can't feed it a certain amount of, say, iron and expect it to capture more iron. It doesn't kind of work that way, but at the same point.
But you can give it more nitrogen and I don't know how, but you might be able to give it more CO2 if you have a tank and just kind of leave it on in there.
That would be sort of much more, those are all ideas to consider, but we don't do any of that yet. What we do is we allow it to live in its own natural environment. We just prevent bad things from going in there. So things like mercury or arsenic, we test for that. Because if you put it in there, the plant will capture it. And that's one of the big differences between what we do and what you find sort of ambient growing in the wild. In the wild, you don't, if you have an industry site close by and they're polluting the groundwater, all that stuff will come in the plant. We avoid that.
Did you hear about the Consumer Reports study that was done on proteins recently about having heavy metals in all these different protein powders?
I did.
And did you realize that the majority of those were either a vegan protein pulling up, heavy metals from the soil, or they were a chocolate flavored whey protein, once again, pulling up heavy metals from the soil?
I think it's a very astute observation, Joey, because
It's Prop 65 proof.
Effectively, the specification sheet literally has heavy metals 0.00000.
Prop 65 proof.
We are extremely concerned about making sure that the plant doesn't have heavy metals, and we monitor that very, very closely.
So Limna has a couple bullet points here that are pretty outstanding. First of all, low allergen risk versus soy. So the allergen, you check that allergen checkpoint really
I don't
nicely.
think there's any
bullet.
subpopulation that's allergic to this.
We don't know of any. I mean, there's people who have tried to run
see it?
studies. We actually ran our own study with this to see if we get any cross reaction with any known allergens. Because, people do that.
Sure.
We got zero cross reaction with any known allergens. And then there's lots and lots of history of people eating this, consuming this. There is no real history of there being any systematic allergenicity to either Lemna or Rubisco. It is essentially a very, very benign and universally accepted friendly material.
So let's get into more of the bullet points of why it's good. We got extremely high dietary fiber.
So we haven't even talked about the greens powder of this
We
yet.
haven't, yeah.
We should get to that first before we jump into all, because all the
I mean,
benefits.
all this is we're just talking about how cool this plant is in the
Yeah.
first place before like the products that are available.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have commercialized basically 2 ingredients.
Yeah.
With some sort of like offshoots of each one, right?
And I'm going to interrupt you for a second there and come back to the plant, because I think the ingredients come from when you take the plant itself. The plant, it's mostly water, right? Any leaf is mainly made up of water. So it's got water with a bunch of solids in it on a dry basis. Dry basis means if you consider all the matter in the leaf, take all the water out, this plant is about 40% protein. And most of the rest is fiber. So it's pretty amazing that it's so nutritionally dense. It doesn't have any simple sugars, any simple starches, things like that.
2 things that everyone wants and needs.
That's right.
protein, especially in the time of GLP-1, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Protein and fiber.
and just the time of the pyramid shift.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you just had the plant, you'd be getting a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. You just have to eat a lot of the plant because it's more than 95% water. That's what leaves are.
Now, a lot of people are going to start getting into all right, it's good. It's great. We haven't even talked about the other bullet points, which there are several. But like, how do you make it taste good? What type of products do you put in? We're going to get into that because we've already sort of started.
We should get into that. But then the next step from that is, so if you don't want to eat just the plant, what we do is we make 2 products from it. Mm-hmm. The first product is essentially the protein, which is it's amazing that you can take a plant that's so green and get essentially a white powder from it, which is 85% protein. It's a complete protein. It's got a PDCAS of 1. It's extremely digestible. It's non-allergenic. It's vegan. It's non-GM. All the good things that people are looking for. But that's basically it. It's pretty much 85% protein. That's what it is. And it's a great protein. The reason why we're excited about it is also not just the fact that it's nutritionally good. It also does stuff which is very, very functionally good for if you want to put it in a food product. So, for example, if you want to bake with it, it structures kind of like an egg, or it structures kind of like some of the other synthetic ingredients that people use. But this is a natural protein. So when you cook it, it gels, it solidifies. It cooks like a protein. It's uncooked protein that you can cook with and do all the things that you could do with like other uncooked proteins, like milk protein or egg protein. So that's like the benefit on the protein side. If you switch it, when you take out some of this soluble protein, which is the ruby protein, you leave behind all this nutritious green mass, which is essentially 50% fiber and 25% protein, and chock full of, I think, pretty much almost every single micronutrient.
It's a whole basket of goods.
It's everything. There's vitamins there. There's beta carotene. There's vitamin C, vitamin K. There's like there's carotenoids. So
that's one of the things I liked about it was the lutein zeaxanthin content.
That's right.
And usually you get that like from marigolds, but this plant, I mean, like they're yellowish pigments, but they're still found in this.
There's pigments in there, and then there's beta carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin. Those are all beneficial, and then you got all these micronutrients. So this is one of the best sources of iron in the world, like plant based. So if you had 5 grams of this, you could probably get 30 to 50% of your daily iron needs, depending on like your demographic. It's fantastic. I mean, it's got so much calcium in it. I mean, it's good for the bones. It's got little micronutrients like zinc and molybdenum, selenium. You know, the good things that you actually need for your body to flourish. Those, I mean, it's got all those in a great, in sufficient amount for it to be useful.
Think of your greens powder, but give it 25%, or what is it, 85% if it's ruby, 85% protein per volume.
Well, if you use the greens, it's 25%. The ruby protein itself is 85%.
Isolated, it's 85%. So per volume, if you made it just a greens, that greens would have 25% protein per volume.
Yes.
So like if we put it in a greens powder today and say, here's a tub of greens.
10-gram scoop, you're getting 2.5 grams of protein.
And 5 grams of fiber.
And that's
fiber.
the kicker, is the 5 grams of fiber.
That's right. I mean, the protein is complete protein. It's PDCAS1, well balanced, all the essential amino acids all in there. And then when you add 5 grams of fiber on top of that, and the fiber it's complex fiber. So it's a combination of different types of soluble, insoluble fibers. It is really beneficial for the gut in terms of the fiber composition.
Good for poops.
Absolutely.
Love a good for poops.
Absolutely.
Put it in everything. You were talking about the zeaxanthin,
Yeah.
the lutein. Why is that cool?
Well, so that has to do with like, all right, the segue of like, this is grown in a very remote place in West Texas, which the proof of concept is there that if it can grow there, it can grow anywhere. Like you could, as long as there's temperature controls, you could probably grow this in Antarctica during there's ridiculously long summer times, right?
We'd have to heat the greenhouses. I mean, you could grow it in outer space. All you need to do is to maintain the environment.
So that's really where I found this. That NASA has been doing extensive studies on duckweed in space for a variety of reasons. For one, it's carbon capture. And that's another part of the sustainability play.
It
is the part of the creation of that rubisco protein. The carbon that is part of it comes from CO2. And it produces oxygen. So that instead of just having a bunch of CO2 scrubbers on station, if they had a bunch of this lemna that was growing, that it would produce more oxygen. And it actually produces more oxygen than your typical algae.
Yes.
Which I did not believe when I read that. I was like, okay, this is better than spirulina, and this is better than like all the other algae, and because it's at the interface of the atmosphere.
That's right.
It's able to do more active gas capturing instead of taking the gas that's already dissolved in the water.
It's like two of Joey's favorite worlds colliding: space and Animal Planet.
Yeah, and supplements.
And
supplements,
three, which is nutritional foods, right? I mean, that's where Joey lives.
So the other thing that they were looking at it is for wastewater treatment, because everything that's in pee and poop, all that urea and ammonia and stuff that are waste products for human beings, it will take the nitrogen from that and use that to make rubisco protein. So like all proteins made up of amino acids, all amino acids contain nitrogen, and that nitrogen's got to come from a foreign source. And human waste, it will take the nitrogen from that, it will take the carbon that we're breathing out, and it will combine those two things into rubisco protein. So like if you look at like, you know, a square meter of soy or pea or any of these other plants, it's super inefficient. You waste more water. You have all these like dead parts, like the leaves of a pea and the hull of a pea, or the roots or the stalk or any of those things. That's all waste.
Not to mention the heavy metals.
And not to mention the heavy metals. But if you look at like how compact, like if you could put like trays of this stuff in a zero gravity kind of environment. And the other thing about this, if you're in a zero gravity environment, you're really basing a lot of what you're doing on surface tension. Mm-hmm. So you could just put a really small layer of water on this sheet, and then the duckweed would just float on it, and you just slide this thing in there, and it would stay stuck to that sheet. And you could have rows and rows and rows of this stuff, and that thing is constantly scrubbing CO2 from the air, producing oxygen, and using your pee and poop to make protein.
Yeah. I guess the only downside in space, and with that argument, is that water is such a commodity in space.
Well, and it gets recycled. Like
Yeah.
all of it is a closed loop system, and that's kind of what you guys do over at Ranchito.
Well, we do recycle our water. We haven't quite gone as far as to kind of use human waste
No,
to feed the
we're
plants,
not
because
there.
I'm not sure if people are ready for that yet. But
Well, in the space flight environment, they have to.
they
Like,
kind of have to do stuff like that, right?
But that's why this makes so much sense for like long-term duration missions and being on the moon, being on Mars. Like this plant is our food, it's our wastewater treatment, it's our oxygen producer, and in addition to that, it also has a bunch of antioxidants and all these other bonus
Anything that's
things.
done in the ISS and space, you're at the cutting edge of innovation.
It is. I mean, they're trying to.
It's
It's such an extreme environment. But I mean, coming back to the point you were making, TK, the thing I find amazing is that this entire plant, is just a little leaf. In order for this leaf to live, thrive, and grow, all it needs to have is a covering of water. It doesn't need a tub of water. It doesn't need an ocean of water. All it needs is that little bit of water that goes on it with nutrients in it so it can survive, because it gets the oxygen, it gets everything else from the environment. So what's amazing is it's so efficient in its use of water, and it's such a photosynthetic engine that it really just goes as long as it gets that right temperature and the right balance of nutrients,
Agitation.
carbon dioxide, which is what the agitation gives it, right? It keeps it distributed so it has access to the surface and all the things in the air. And just a little bit of water. That's why it floats on the water. It doesn't need to be in the water, which is something that kind of hits you with what Joey's talking about, right?
Yeah.
You just need little
Touch it by 50% of its own body mass.
that's it. That's all you need. And as long as you got that, it's good to go, provided it gets everything else.
So we know that this plant's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
let's get
I
into
didn't know how cool it was. Like when I saw the publications from NASA looking at duckweed, like at first I was like, what? Like duckweed?
I like the name.
That's it?
It's a cool name.
Which, we've got some ideas to play off that. But getting into it, you guys have two main sort of ingredients that you commercialize now. You got ruby, which is for the protein source, and then you have lemna.
Lemna greens.
Lemna greens.
Lemna leaf greens. That's
So
what we
the
call
plant
it.
is called lemna. I don't even think we even actually
Lemna
addressed
minor.
that. Lemna minor is actually the name of the plant.
Yes.
But you're creating sort of a supplement type of ingredient for the greens powder, and then you also have the protein, which has lots of different use case scenarios, whether it's in agriculture, it could be used in food additive. We've talked about potentially how it can work as a plant protein, sort of replace
It can and it
replace
does.
the pea proteins and stuff that we were seeing on the
Or
market today.
supplement them. I mean, you could you don't need to replace. I mean, because the thing with this is,
Are you
this
thinking
stuff
it
is so
could
cool.
correct the PDCAS of the weaker proteins?
It absolutely can. I mean, if you use like a protein that you use today, but you want all the other essential amino acids. I mean, a lot of the proteins you get on the market, like if you go to Whole Foods or whatever, I mean, you get like this protein box, which has got like 6 different proteins in it.
Yeah.
That's what ours is.
And I think I would make this sort of right on top of all those proteins as the thing that rounds everything off, because it's got all the amino acids. It's got some micronutrients in it. I mean, ruby itself has a good amount of iron. So if you wanted iron as with your protein, which is, I think, for vegans, vegetarians, that's one of the biggest deficiencies, you get that from ruby protein. So nutritionally, it is that superior additive that you can add to a mix, which will help round it off and take it to the next level.
So you can really choose either ruby or lemna greens
For different things. I mean, ruby is protein. The greens, I find the greens to be so much more powerful as a nutrient, because it's literally like I have kids, right? I mean, a lot of people have kids. Both my kids, they hate their greens. I mean, every time my wife spends a lot of time trying to feed them different types of greens and complex fibers and nutrients and things like that. It's a struggle. And I don't know if it's the taste or the texture or a combination of the color. I don't know what it
Kids
is.
just don't like them.
I guess that's what it is. It's a combination of factors. Well, with this, you can literally have a nice little amount of greens that it's very easy to eat. And it gives you all the nutrition that you can get from eating a full bowl of salad. Because remember, in the end, salad is 90+% water. So you're eating a lot of water with a little bit of greens that are structuring it. Here, you're basically taking out the greens, you're concentrating them into a fiber, into a powder. And that powder you can basically use to in whichever way you want. You can use it in a beverage, you can use it in a cookie, whatever you decide. In a bar, I mean, there's all kinds of, in a gummy.
Put it in a capsule gummy, and I think Grun should definitely give you guys a call.
Well, we were also talking about like using it as like like an adjunct to tea.
Yeah.
Because you could put it in a tea bag and still brew it and steep it.
And it
still
pretty much tastes like matcha.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
tastes like matcha.
It does.
And then there's the chlorophyll content. which is the overlooked thing of all greens. Like that's a natural antioxidant. It's working on all your natural antioxidant pathways, really just to help you fight off free radicals. And I don't know, there's just a lot packed into this.
Yeah. So when we were kind of thinking about like how do we market this? How do we get this out to consumers and educate on them? And then so the thing that we sort of do, our shtick, right, is like, well, we come up with products.
How do we make this work?
Yeah, we have to turn it into some sort of commercialized product or a prototype or concept, so that you can put it in people's hands, right? And so you can say, hey, we can talk about it all day, but people need to drink it, they need to eat it, they need to see what it looks like in a package.
That's right.
And so we were like, kind of like, oh, what would it be? Turns out there's like a lot of different things that it could be. So it's like the infinite amount of formats. But we've been cooking up a little bit of an RTD here. We've talked about stick packs. What else have we talked about?
I say we take a pee break and we come back and try it.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, folks, this episode is brought to you by the Future Nutri Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization for the nutraceutical industry. Imagine a world where every dietary supplement you take is safe, effective, and scientifically validated. At the Future Nutri Foundation is not just a dream, it's our mission. We're dedicated to transforming the nutraceutical industry through rigorous scientific research, comprehensive education, and unwavering advocacy for public health and safety. But we can't do it alone. Your support can make a real difference. With your donation, we can drive innovation, ensure regulatory compliance, and provide the public with the reliable information that they need to make informed health choices. Join us in our quest to create a healthier tomorrow. Visit futurenutri.org and make your donation today. Together, we can build a future where trust in dietary supplements is a given, not a question. The Future Nutri Foundation, science, safety, and a healthier tomorrow. Thank you for your support.
And we're back.
So, when it comes to green products, most people don't like them because they taste bad. This one doesn't. But still, the origin of greens products came from the wheatgrass shot. Like this was a thing in the 80s. You'd go to the juice bar. They'd have this nice little plot of grass. They'd cut the grass with scissors right there at the juice bar for you. They'd put it in this like sausage maker kind of press thing, and they'd squeeze you out a shot glass full of greens. So most people historically have enjoyed a transactional experience with their greens. And what we've done here, went over to the lab earlier and we decided that we were going to make a 100 ml greens shot. And we were like, well, it's nice to have greens. So we've got 10 grams of lemon leaf greens in here. But we've also got an extra 7.5 grams of sun fiber, bringing your total fiber yield combined between soluble and insoluble fibers to 13 grams, which is roughly half the amount of fiber that you need in a day. So this is half of a really good poop right here. And
amazing.
You get all the other trace nutrients, all the other macronutrients. You get 25% Rubisco, so you get 2.5 grams of protein. It's not a whole bunch, but it is complete and it is good. And it's naturally flavored, naturally sweetened. And we did a citrus punch on this.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Should we try it?
So
Should we try it?
The point is you house it, right?
You can house it or you can just sip it and enjoy it. It's up to you.
So it's kind of like either like sipping tequila or shooting tequila, or like one of those energy booster shots that you can pick up pretty much anywhere now. Where you want 6-hour energy, you take the shot. So you want like your daily fiber and nutrients, you take the shot, and it'll give you.
Most people suck at getting fiber anyway. So if they could have it in a shot.
It's like a fiber and greens shot.
Fiber, protein, and greens
Combo.
Like all kinds of booster stuff in here. That's amazing. You know, I'm at a lot of food trade shows, and I still see over the last more than 5 years, everything is about protein. Used to be front and center, and now I see everybody talking about protein and fiber.
Yeah.
And the fact that people don't have enough proteins and fibers in their diet is an issue. And fiber, I think, proteins people are working at. Fiber still remains a gap.
If people consumed the amount of fiber that they would actually are supposed to consume on a daily basis, a lot more people would lose a lot of weight.
We'd have a lot less health concerns than we have now.
Fiber traps fat in the gut and it kind of pulls it out. There's a lot of things, and it feeds your gut microbiome. Like just the microbiome benefits of this alone, pretty good.
So, and that's because the fiber here is like it's different types of fibers. So there's soluble, there's insoluble, there is fermentable fiber, non-fermentable fiber. All those things together, I think, add the complexity of the fiber actually matters, right?
Yeah. All right, let's try these out.
Are we trying this? So what are we doing? Are we sipping or are we shooting?
I'm
depends.
gonna house it.
He's going to go for it.
Oh man,
I'm going to go about half, swish.
I'm going to take a little sip first. Joe,
Not bad.
you did a good job with this. It's delicious.
Did this in 20 minutes.
It tastes like a citrus matcha thing for me.
Yeah.
That's what I get from this.
I'll have my tea with a little lemon.
That's kind of what it is. I mean, you can you can kind of feel like you're having the greens. It's not offensive in any way, at least to my palate. And at the same point, I mean, if I wanted to shoot this, I could. Maybe I should, but I can sip it as well. I mean, it's okay.
Citrus
to do that.
covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. You just house it. It is a little thick, but fiber usually does that. She's a little thick.
We put 13 grams of fiber in this bad boy.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, even if you take like, say, what do people normally consume for fiber? Like Metamucil?
There's a lot of different things. Like I like personally a diversity of fiber, but psyllium husk Metamucil is like essentially the gold standard. But that'll gel up on you real quick. At least this maintains its lack of viscosity. This isn't turning into Jello in the shop.
That's what I'm saying. 13% of Metamucil in this would probably, you couldn't make like a drink out of that, right?
What I like is there's no like weird lingering like aftertaste.
No.
Sometimes with like grains, they can kind of leave you with like a real weedy, real pondy aftertaste. Yeah, I don't get that.
Well, I think the biggest complaint I get from my kids is that it kind of tastes bitter. It's got this lingering bitterness. Like if it's kale and spinach and things like that, you know, there's this sort of lingering bitterness is what I get. But I don't get that from this product. I mean, this is absolutely just...
It's pretty neutral.
Like, yeah, earthy maybe is what I would say.
Yeah, it tastes like matcha.
You got a reputation of killing it in the greens game previously.
Yeah, you do.
That's amazing.
But I mean, yeah, that's good. I mean, the flavor is good, tastes good. It's like when I see those like little daily dose shots, you know, with turmeric or curcumin or something like that. Like it, like to me, it's on par with that. If it's something you can kind of just house in one good go.
If people will do a daily dose of curcumin like that, why wouldn't they do fiber and greens?
I don't see.
You
why
could add
not.
a pinch of curcumin to this, and you could have curcumin, fiber, and greens in one shot.
Like if I was at Expo West and I had a little 10 by 10 booth and I had this, it'd be like, you want half your daily fiber intake? You want to take care of your gut microbiome? You want to have a good poop tomorrow? Like all the different things to pull people into the booth.
Yeah.
I think we should do that. I think we can try to find if we can tag team somebody else on their booth and give out these fiber shots.
It's way easier than like an AG1.
Is that right?
I've never had AG1.
I've tried it. I think it's a decent product, but I mean, you got to mix. It's kind of like, you know, ready to mix. I mean, we could do that with this too, right? You have a little sachet and you give it to people and you add the water and you drink it. But
Any way to make the greens convenient and easier for people to take is going to be a better experience.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially if you like refrigerator or something. Like just if you can go to the grocery store and just take a shot of that for like $3, that would be sick.
Man, if I could be going to bed and open my fridge and just grab a shot out of there and be like, topping off the fiber for the day.
Honestly, the aftertaste, now that it's like, it's kind of good.
It tastes healthy.
Like, yeah, it's good. It's not.
Tastes like healthy.
I had a shot earlier at your house, Joey, of like a different product.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a shot. Not good. I was driving home from your house and I was like, I got this poop taste in my mouth. I was like, what is that? And then I remembered I drank that thing and I was like, that's weird.
Some plants are not meant to be put into a drink.
That's fine.
This one's fine.
Yeah.
But so other applications, obviously, you know, the gut health angle is pretty good. A lot of things are, you know, especially in the day of Ozempic, people want protein and fiber. And this is definitely something that can help you achieve that kind of goal. What else do you think that this could be useful for?
We talked about like agriculture, you know.
Oh, you're talking about for the animal products.
Yeah, feeding cows, sheep.
That was
big
one
animals.
So that just like helps round out the diet, you know, when they're just eating corn all day, you know, usually they're going to need to diversify that up somewhat.
Yeah, this does that.
I think you can do a bunch of things with it, right? You can give people gummies,
Yeah.
which are made with this. You could put it in a stick. That would work. Beverages would work. But you could go beyond that, right? I mean, we've tried this in soup. So you can make cream of lemna soup, and it's delicious. We've tried this in like a flavored iced tea beverage. Lemna iced tea, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We made cookies out of it. The cookies are, I mean, they
I
look
saw that
slightly
on your
green.
Instagram.
No, we had them. We had the cookies at the ribbon cutting.
So you guys had all kinds of baked goods.
We did. A lot of those are ruby. I mean, so ruby is phenomenal in baked products because it's such a functional protein. It provides structure. It provides aeration. It's an amazing
I
product.
forgot we had them in the supply side collab.
We did.
So you guys were in the Skinny Bites.
We were, and that's like a GLP-1 product, right?
Yeah.
Nutrient dense, high protein, great texture. It really holds the bite together.
Yeah, those were like little upside down cupcakes without the tops. And we put so many functional ingredients into that thing. I mean, Ruby was definitely making up the base of the protein portion of it, but then we also had like Areomin, which is something that's like a lemon bioflavonoid complex for GLP-1. We had Innoslim that was in it. We had a couple other different things, but like that was just another way to like show that you can definitely put this in not confectionery, but like baked goods. But, you know, there's even other applications for the greens where, you know, you look at the iron content, and that's a huge boost for either endurance athletes or for women's health because, you know, those people need to make more red blood cells in order to function properly.
So there's a performance angle here.
There can be anyone who's a runner, swimmer, biker can definitely use to have more iron. Iron is the carrier of oxygen. Oxygen going to their muscle cells is ultimately the determinant of their performance.
I think when you look at what people need, right? So, I mean, let's start with me, I guess. I've just learned that I'm getting older. I mean, I know I don't look it, but...
No way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But unfortunately, it's true. Believe me, I'm getting older. As you get older, your dietary and nutritional needs change completely, is what I'm told by my doctor. And then I need to have the fiber and the protein. Those we already talked about, and I get those. I mean, maybe I get those from this, but I also need calcium for bone health. Iron is an issue. I need a whole bunch of these. You know, you can buy these 50 like silver vitamin packs from like Costco or Walmart or whatever, and they are enriched with all these like lutein and
That's right,
carotenoids
yeah.
and all these things. And I have pills for that. But what I think is this type of product. I mean, if I could do a shot of this in a day, it's natural. I mean, it's literally grown in a pond and dried, and then I use that as a powder, and it's got all this natural sort of all of these ingredients right from nature. So as for older people in pods, I mean, they have specific nutritious needs. I would be somebody who would benefit greatly from that. I have a colleague who has to take iron shots every day because she tells me that iron is one of the biggest issues with women's nutrition today. So women they need more hemoglobin, they need better like cardiovascular blood health, and this has so much iron in it. It also has calcium. So when you combine the fiber, the protein, the calcium, the iron, I think women's health is amazing. Then you talk about like skin health. I mean, a lot of the antioxidants. So I mean, beta carotene, the carotenoids, everything.
Deposits in your skin.
It basically is directly useful for skin health. I mean, so it literally makes you glow. It's a beauty product. I mean, if you really want that. Then there's the entire athletic angle. You know, so calcium and iron and all of these nutrients that go in protein, right? I mean, digestible protein. All of those things are amazing for athletic recovery and performance. I mean, that's what people talk about.
I just had another idea.
What's that?
Like a veggie chip.
Ooh.
It makes it. We've tried a version of that, and I can tell you, it is great in chips. It is great in chips.
Are we talking like a flat chip or an extruded puff?
Well,
No.
I was thinking almost like a Cheeto would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You could do either.
Like a veggie Cheeto.
You could absolutely. So this would make a
Instead of
really
corn.
crunchy.
Well, have you had the veggie chips? They're pretty good.
Yeah,
They're
I
terrible
have.
for you because they like fry them up in a bunch of...
That's the only way to really make them good. If you fry them up in vegetable oil.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe there could be a way to make them into a veggie chip.
I think there is.
With
I think
protein
it's
added.
very
Basically a
straightforward.
veggie chip, but added protein.
I mean, you could literally make a cake out of the lemna, and you could make. I mean, there's different ways of making chips, right? You have baked and rolled chips, like the way you make tortilla chips, for example.
Exactly.
You could do exactly the same thing with this, or if you wanted to make a puffed extruded chip like a Cheeto, this would be a phenomenal Cheeto. It would be a little bit crunchier because of all the fiber.
Really?
The fiber kind of, it holds the water. It makes it really nice and crunchy. So imagine a green crunchy Cheeto, delicious and nutritious.
We should try it. We should mess around with that.
I'm going to have to ask you to get some wine time. The only plant I know is like booked up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that one's crazy.
It makes great pasta. So
You've made pasta with this?
We made pasta with this. So normally, if you go to like a grocery store.
Well, I guess if it's an egg replacer, eggs are used in pastas. That makes sense.
Well, so the ruby protein is an egg replacer. The greens. So if you go to all these grocery stores now, you get all these vegetable pastas.
Yeah.
This works beautifully. So you
like a spinach-derived pasta,
That's
but instead it'd be lemna.
It would be lemna. I mean, so instead of having there's lentil pastas, there's spinach pastas, you can do a lemna pasta, and we did a lemna pasta.
I don't like the chickpea one.
Well, I don't like it because they only give you half a pound, and it's too damn expensive.
Oh, to me, it like kind of crumbles in your mouth. I want pasta to be a little more
noodly. But this would be a supplemental product. So you'd still use the base flour that you wanted to use. So you could make a wheat-based or rice-based or whatever pasta, and you add 25 or 50% of this, and it makes a fantastic pasta, any shape you want.
Well, just like all the spinach tortillas and stuff you see, like those green tortillas that you can buy.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. Like
Same
Freebirds.
concept.
Like Freebirds ones.
Same concept. So we make pasta. I told you we made soup from it. We used it in baked products. It works beautifully as a green. But the point is the flavor profile and the ease of incorporation is so good that you can make so many different products on the food side with the greens. Not a problem. I mean, we made, you can make a flatbread out of it. So you can literally normally you put greens on the flatbread, you can put greens in the flatbread, and make it slightly crispier than the normal flatbread, but some people like it that way.
Throw some mozzarella on that thing.
Crispy pizza.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's a light tea taste, if I could describe it. Think of like matcha, but it's almost like a lighter version.
I've fed this to hundreds of people now, and the most common thing I get is it kind of tastes like a combination of, it's like matcha. I mean, it tastes is the closest thing to matcha that they've seen.
Yeah.
And then if we kind of branch off into ruby, I mean, that's the other thing which we have tried, and a combination of ruby with this. Oh my God! I mean, it's a very, very versatile ingredient. So I mean, that's what remember when we first started talking. You said, is it used to replace stuff? And I don't think I don't think of it as a replacement. I think of it more as it enhances the quality of food because there's so many layered benefits, right? I mean, this is clean label. It's like it labels as lamna leaf protein. So it is very clean, like the way we make it, everything. It's like very kitchen cupboard clean as a product. And then it's a complete protein. So it's very, very nutritious. It is delicious. I mean, it doesn't have much of a taste. It's got a little bit of earthy taste to it. Some people have, like the ruby protein itself. Now we're talking about the white powder, not the green powder. Green powder tastes like matcha. Ruby protein tastes like an earthy, so sort of like, kind of like milk powder in a way. I mean, that's the closest comparison that I get. It has that sort of earthy protein note to it.
Yeah.
But that's it.
So does like
notes.
collagen. Collagen kind of has a...
All proteins have their little character. I mean, whey protein has its own taste. Every protein has a little flavor. This kind of has an earthy little note to it, but nothing that is displeasing in the applications we use. Mm-hmm. And it is completely soluble in water. When you mix it in water, it basically forms a clear solution. However, when you cook it, as soon as you cook it, it structures because it's cooking. The proteins denature. When proteins are found in their natural state, they are fully soluble in water in the kind of proteins like Rubisco that we're talking about. But then when you denature it using either heat or acidity, it kind of gels as a protein. It forms its own structure. It loses its natural solubility. Well, it's kind of like the closest parallel is like an egg, right? I mean, when you take egg whites are liquid. They're completely soluble in water. You can then cook with them, and they will gel like a meringue. So they form a meringue, which is essentially...
That was on your... Go to the Instagram ad. Because like you have extremely good photography, might I add, of different applications that you guys have done.
That warms my heart, yeah.
This photography warms... So there's the pasta. Keep going. And then there's the meringues.
That's the meringue. And if you go a little bit further up, there was that just above the macarons. You see those macarons?
You made macarons?
Yeah, you see, there's those stacked macarons. So Ruby Protein is probably one of the best vegetarian, vegan macaron product that I have ever seen. And the reason is it's almost impossible to make macarons without the eggs. So, egg white is such a critical ingredient in macarons because that's what essentially gives it that shell structure. So Ruby has the same properties because it's basically completely soluble, and when you zap it with heat, it freezes that foam and forms that shell structure. So that is the kind of property. So that texturization complements the protein, the sustainability. So that's why I'm saying it enhances. It's not just...
I guarantee there's someone at Expo West who has macarons and wants to do a vegan version.
Oh, I bet you. I bet you there's somebody at Expo West who's already selling vegan macarons made with our product.
Really?
Absolutely. And then I would tell you that there are other people who should try it because it makes the best vegan macarons I've ever seen. And then you talk about allergenicity, right? So, there are so many people who try to make low allergen foods because allergenicity, as you guys know, it's a major problem. People who are allergic to stuff, if they accidentally consume it, sometimes it can kill them. It's really bad.
Well, it just definitely narrows down your demographic of potential customers.
It's the hard way.
Yeah.
And then, so I know we have customers who've tried to make non-allergenic foods, but it's very difficult to get the egg out or to get the dairy out because they are so multifunctional. So eggs provide such a great structure, particularly for gluten-free applications, because gluten is an allergen. So when you take out the gluten, you need something to bring that structure. And a lot of times people still end up using eggs or dairy to make that structure. Well, Ruby allows you to not do that. So
Gives
you can
you the
get,
vegan.
It gives you completely vegan. So, and
Well, it also says you do. There's an emulsifying component to this.
It is. So, if you kind of get more technical, right? It is an all-functional protein because as a protein, it's completely soluble, which is kind of a holy grail for plant-based proteins, right? People have been looking for soluble proteins for a long time. Well, you just found it. It's more than 95% soluble in water, truly dissolves in water before cooking. It also is a great emulsifier and foaming agent. So we have done direct foaming comparisons with Ruby Protein and other foaming agents like egg white. And the foams made with Ruby Protein, it's more efficient. It makes stronger foams at lower use levels. And those foams are more stable over time. So that's important. And then same with emulsions. So you can actually make it get more technical, right? It lowers the interfacial tension of oil and water, which is what basically gets you a stable emulsion. So you form small oil droplets. You put something at the interface that stabilizes the interface by lowering the interfacial tension. And that Ruby is phenomenal at that. We've actually measured the interfacial tension lowering properties of Ruby, and it's similar or better to like a lecithin that you can find out there. So it is a true. It's
you just said a buzzword for Joey. It's like it's a
true emulsifier. So it actually lowers the interfacial tension. And then what you can do is if you wanted to zap it with heat. So let's say you make a nice foam, zap the foam with heat. You make a meringue. It's like a stiff meringue that you gel in place. Same way with emulsions. You can make like an emulsion.
So like could Starbucks use this in order to create like a vegan version of the on top of the coffee?
I think that is the product that we are really trying to create now is kind of coming up with a cold foam, which is done using Ruby. And I think you can absolutely, depending on what the specific stability requirements are, Ruby is a great choice for making cold foams.
Clean label cold foam.
Can you imagine? So again, the problem, and to me, I don't want to put it in like a vegan basket or whatever. Right? The vegan people can absolutely have this; it's good for them. But I think there's been a lot of other people who have like allergenicity issues, just from a food manufacturing perspective. Eggs have been in the news lately a lot, but mostly for the wrong reasons. I think there have been all these bird flu issues. The price of eggs has kind of been all over the place. Supply chain issues.
More importantly, what like hits home for us is the price of whey protein.
Yeah,
we chatted a little bit about this earlier, and because of your scale, you're not at a point where you're competitive with whey protein yet. But as more and more and more as that whey protein market just gets occupied and everyone is in a feeding frenzy over the availability of whey, you guys are slowly going to be ramping up your capacity.
We will. And I know customers, I have customers who are looking to get rid of whey today.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the reason why they're looking to get rid of whey is mainly, again, allergen. Whey is an allergen. So, it's got...
it's a milk allergen.
So allergenicity is one factor. Supply chain stability. I think there are people out there who are finding it difficult to get their grade of whey anytime they want it, every time they want it. So I think us being able to help them with stable supply chains, obviously the whole non-allergen...
Not only that, like the price increases every time you buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whey prices have sort of been going through the roof, haven't they? It's the sort of less talk about egg. People keep talking about eggs all the time, but whey seems to be a problem child too.
That was the talk of supply side for the majority of people that I spoke with is I'm just trying to get whey. I'm just trying to get whey. And, even people that are doing precision fermented beta-lactoglobulin right now, the supply of that, gone. Gone before it even exists, before they've even scaled up. Like people are buying futures of this stuff. Right. And because you have a PDCAS1, you finally have like a vegan contender that could actually start taking swings at that market.
I think that's what we're looking to do, right? So, there's so many different
just a matter of economy of scale, really, for you guys.
Well, if we want to be cost competitive, then that's what we're targeting. So I think what we are, so as you know, Plantible is a startup, right? We were formed nearly 7 years ago, but.
If you go back to the satellite view, check that out. Your facility for making the protein is just that white box there on the bottom right.
That's right.
So you need like 10 of those.
You
need 10 of those, you need a lot more racetracks.
In every state.
Well, before we get to all that, right, what we need to do is to fill this facility, because right now we need like multiple greenhouses to run this current box the way we want to run it and produce hundreds of tons of protein. So we can do that from this facility. And then we can either decide if we want to make this facility bigger, which we can. And then if not, we can actually use a completely different location based on supply chain, based on customer demographics.
Well, the other thing that's kind of neat about your San Diego facility is like that's your little R&D hub. That's where you're taking the duckweed and it's like a smaller version of this.
That's right.
And you have a lot of the capabilities of a typical whey protein manufacturer. You use a lot of the same technologies. You have carbon filters, you got membrane filtration, you've got spray drying. You've got every major characteristic that you would find in a whey protein manufacturer, but it's all focused on this.
It is. And it took our founders a long time, right? So, this is it for me. It's
7
amazing.
years is not a long time. You guys have done great.
I think 7 years is short. How long has the whey protein industry been around for?
Hundreds of years.
A long time, yeah. I don't know if it's quite hundreds of years
Maybe
old. Maybe
100 years.
A long time for sure. Much longer than 7 years. But I think Tony and Moritz, our co-founders, they met in Amsterdam. I think they knew each other from school. And I think they both had this sort of shared vision of creating something impactful, something bold that would change the world in different ways. And that's where I think they came up with this idea of aquaculture and how to do agriculture differently. And then I think they had a lot of good mentors when they were first starting out. So they kind of directed them towards lamna as a protein source and some of the functional benefits that they were looking at. So they were really mission driven. And then when they finally kind of decided this is it, we're going to set up an aquaculture unit to grow lamna, they kind of looked all over the world and they said, where do we go to do that? And amazingly, the U.S. came up as like the number one place. So, it's kind of interesting to find two Dutch guys.
We do a lot of functional food and beverage.
We do. And I think the U.S. is very supportive for this kind of, historically has been so supportive for this kind of new innovation that you imagine two Dutch guys who kind of picked up bag and barrel and they came to, they found California to be a place because they had a good location to land in. And that's where they started doing all their little experimentation in a trailer, in a little mobile lab.
Well, that was one of my questions during the break. Because Texas froze. And I was like, do you guys have like reserves of, duckweed that you just like kind of hide somewhere just in case, you are wiped out by an ice storm? And San Diego is your reserves.
Well, so it's not just San Diego. I think what you need ultimately for reserves is you need a very small amount.
Yeah.
Because
Just like that bag, right?
it's less than that. Because, I mean, if you had a couple, they would just grow. So I think what our team has done, which is one of the key things that distinguishes us, right? A lot of people have asked me, this whole concept of rubisco and duckweed, this has been around before. We are not the first people to do it. I think we're the first people to do it right. But there's other people who've tried. So they asked me, what is the difference in what you do versus what other people have done? And I'd say it's not just one difference. I think there's 4 things that we do which are very, very unique. So the lemna is part of it. So I think we have a great focus on variety selection. We don't do anything GM. We just take natural varieties. But we have a group that's so knowledgeable. And they spend all their time looking at, what kind of plants do different things.
Because when I went to San Diego, you had multiple different kinds of lemna.
We do. And we have this entire bank that they keep where they have all
They got
these...
this fridge full of petri dishes, all the different species.
They're all living, and they live for a long time. I mean, they have very, very long lives. And what these guys have done is they've looked at hundreds of varieties of lemna. And just duckweed in general. And what they found is which are the best ones to get us what we're looking for. So the fiber, the protein, the nutrients, and also optimizing that with growth conditions. So the plant that grows best in Texas may not be the same that grows best in California. I mean, I think they're similar, but they have it down to really designing for commercial operation. That was the key thing. And they spent nearly 5 years getting to that point. So once they did that, that's when they decided to pull the plug, and they were looking to see where can we set up a demonstration unit that will actually do this commercially. And I think of all the places they did, I mean, they landed up in the great state of Texas.
Yeah.
And it was amazing for me, right? Because you hear, I've visited Texas before. I live in Illinois. I've traveled all over the world. But the thing that you find unique about Texas is it's very friendly to businesses.
Yeah.
And that's been like, and I think our company also experienced that. So shout out to the great state of Texas and everything good that they've done.
Howdy.
Which is important to set up a new business and grow it from the ground up. So that was one of the factors. Obviously, availability of the resources and some of the staff that they were looking at.
Where do you go to buy a whole bunch of land, which needs water,
That's right. So all of that factored into it. So then almost 2.5 years ago is when we opened this commercial facility, first with really small greenhouses, and then we built out greenhouses a couple at a time. And now we are at it's more than 20 greenhouses today, and we're going to be more than 60 greenhouses here in the next year or so if we continue going this direction as we are boldly moving to grow our capacity as our customers demand more.
Realistically, you can do it anywhere, though, if economically it made sense.
It did. I think there's 2 factors, which, I mean, from economics perspective, right? I think you need to make sure that the weather conditions are such that you don't need to temperature control your greenhouses, because that adds cost. I mean, if cost was not a consideration, we could do this on the moon, right? I mean, Joey already talked about that.
Yeah.
It's
or
absolutely,
an abandoned missile silo.
You could absolutely do it. I mean, you can use like artificial daylight. People do that. I mean, they have these growing lamps and they grow.
Yeah, you have your abandoned missile silo in South Dakota, a whole bunch of solar panels up top, and then you're just got this whole operation underground.
There's so many ways to skin that, I can tell you. That's absolutely right. But so you could do it indoors, you could do it down a mine shaft, you could do it in various places. But the key
Kind of
thing
Joey's
is,
dream to do something in an abandoned missile silo. That's why I'm laughing.
I think we
Because
should talk
he's
more.
trying to find some excuse to do something, to grow something
Fully
in one.
controlled conditions.
Yeah.
that sounds like an obsession. I think that's good.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why
yeah.
I'm laughing, because he just like
Yeah, why do you think I'm here, Yadi?
he inserted that in there, and I'm like, I've heard this before.
But there's something cool about that, right? I mean, the whole space thing or the missile silo thing, I mean, I think it's kind of neat to consider that. I mean, imagine the Middle East, right? I mean, one of the things that is so cool is you got so much desert. In some ways, it's kind of like West Texas.
Yeah.
So, there's less water, arid land. I'm pretty sure we could do this in the Middle East, no problem. If that's something that we, it will take a little bit in terms of getting the infrastructure
They
set
have
up and
enough
everything.
sunshine.
There's a lot of sun, that's for sure. You just need to get the amount of water, not a lot of water, not as much as you need to grow like soybeans or wheat or whatever, but
Rice.
Much less than that. So it'll work beautifully, and you can set up something very similar. So to your point, right? I think the biggest thing is land is important. You need that footprint, but the footprint could be inside a building, could be inside a missile silo, could be very. I mean, there's different combinations that you can consider. There is cost elements to that. So I think in Texas, I think we found a way of optimizing all that because the temperature banding is good, except for last week when it was terrible. But
That only happens every 5 years.
it does, and the good thing is we recover from that, right? So I think the plant and the system is so robust that you can actually find a way to recover from that within the week. I mean, it's not like you have to take another 6 months to come back.
Yeah, it doesn't
No.
completely ruin entire supply chain.
It absolutely does not. So supply chain resilience is a theme that we're seeing. Like, there's been years, I used to sell other types of ingredients. You find that there's entire crops that are ruined by certain bugs or certain types of disease that comes in
some
from
sort
various
of weather
places.
pattern happens.
Too much rain, too little rain, all those things ruin like 70% of the total expected yield, things like that.
There's also like a geopolitical play with some things, like lecithin was a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Like some things just grow in one place in the world, and if something's
right.
happening that we can't control, it may completely
The
wreck something.
Russia-Ukraine war really put the kibosh on the lecithin industry for
Yeah.
a minute because of all the sunflowers that come from
90% of sunflower lecithin comes from the Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
and Russia.
That's right.
But
So
like they're neighboring countries, and now there's like minefields in both of the fields.
it killed the supply. But and so having the ability to source locally and the robustness of the crop for supply chain resilience, I think is something that doesn't get talked about as much, particularly in today's, you said geopolitical risk, right? I mean, it only seems to be increasing every day. And the ability to source and sustain local agriculture, nutritious agriculture, this is a big step.
Yeah, because you can
towards
pretty
that.
much do it anywhere with the right resources.
You can, absolutely. I mean, it probably cost a little more to do it in Iowa, Illinois, just because of the temperature cycle, but
But that's where you get the missile silo.
that's where you get the missile silo.
Yeah, but if you're doing this in Florida, it's not a problem.
I don't think so,
He
except
really wants to do something in a missile silo.
I
somebody
can see
get
that.
The proof of concept of the missile silo is like if you can do it here and you're controlling all the variables, you could do it anywhere, like literally anywhere. You could do it floating out in space. You could do it on the moon. You could do it on any other planet. And as long as that modular system can be transplanted from one place to another, it could be anywhere. It could be in Antarctica or whatever you want.
I think you should come pitch to our investors, Joey.
Yeah.
I think you'd do a good
I
job.
asked Joey.
You guys aren't thinking big enough.
Joey, remember like probably 15 years ago, we were in Austin or something like that, way before any of this. And
Yeah.
I was like, Joey, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? And you'd be like, I'd set up a missile silo, and I'd grow stuff.
Yeah.
You were like,
I'd grow crops in that silo.
That's exactly what he said.
But just think about that, right? I find that in a way very inspiring because you're basically taking something that was meant for destruction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because missile silo by definition is for a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes.
And then you're kind of taking that completely the 180-degree opposite, and you're using it as a source of
Literally
growth
life
and
support.
nutrition.
Yeah.
You're growing life,
Yeah.
and supporting life from the life that you grow.
Yeah.
It's a powerful vision. I can see why you identify with that, but it's kind of
My
cool.
T-shirt is literally that's called the ingredients for life.
Love it.
You see how
That's
he
a
brings
cool logo.
everything in his little ecosystem, the sphere of his
My own fucked up world.
or the one you want it to be?
Yeah.
But I mean, we all live in that little microcosm, right? I mean, when I think of my life, I mean, eventually you have, I mean, I know we talked about poop earlier, but I mean, most people go from sleeping, eating, pooping, and maybe if you're really good, you get some exercise, some other things that are good for you in life. But that's about it. I mean, that's kind of the bare necessities of life. And it's amazing how many people in the world don't have that. just the simple good life that some of us may take for granted, and some of us, I think we've had that. It's difficult for a lot of people to do that, and bringing that to them. That's why I love this missile silo to life conversion. How do you make the world a better place? I think that ultimately, I know it sounds like big words, but at some point we all get to that, right? So I mean, what is our little contribution to this planet?
Well, the thing is, when you think about these tech companies, these tech startups or whatever, they create these mission statements, and this is our company culture, and these are the things that we're all about. We want to make the world a better place, yada, yada, yada. And then you start getting into like the economies of it, or like what is your actual footprint and blah, 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 right? Like you talk about automated vehicles, right?
Yeah.
You talk about electric vehicles. Like there's some negative things that go along with that.
Well, I mean,
but
These guys are carbon banking over here. When it comes to carbon footprint, these guys got tons in savings.
Exactly. It's kind of like you're actually doing that. You're actually being about that instead of just talking about it. Well, and it's almost better when you don't make it your
personality.
Yeah.
I'm here to save the world.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, you could do that.
One protein shake and one green shot at a time.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this earlier, right? I mean, you don't have to taste terrible to save the world.
Yeah.
You can taste delicious and still make sustainable, nutritive food. So I think that's why I call it an enhancement. I mean, we are enhancing the food ecosystem, the nutrition ecosystem, because we're creating something that does check a lot of boxes, but we want to check the first boxes first. So, things like taste and nutrition. I mean, I hate eating stuff that I don't like. I mean, I'll eat it sometimes because I'm forced to, but that's why my kids don't like the salad that they eat, because, I mean, they don't like the taste of it in most cases. So that is the big difference to me, is it's got to taste right. It's got to be good for you, so the nutrition is part of it. And then I think the sustainability. I mean, we are probably the most environmentally friendly protein that you can find. We have a fraction of the water footprint that we need. We actually don't use any agricultural land. So from a land use perspective, I mean, where we're doing this in West Central Texas.
You're not using pesticides or fertilizers.
We have no pesticides. We don't use fertilizer. We do use nutrients, but they're not fertilizers. So they are actually stuff that the plants directly consume.
And how much methane do you put off?
I would say
Zero.
Almost nothing. Compared to some of the other protein sources out there, I'd say we're probably... It's not there. I mean, there's no measurable contribution.
Negligible.
Yeah. Negligible. And then when you talk about carbon footprint, I mean, we have a fraction of the carbon footprint of a lot of the animals.
But you're also offsetting that because you're a carbon sink as well.
We are. So I think one of the biggest things is when you start looking at carbon fixing, so you're actually taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, the comparison, it's off the charts. I mean, the numbers, we've done some life cycle assessments ourselves, and they are extremely positive.
Well, I mean, you can almost measure it in the metric tons of protein that you produce.
That's right.
I mean, you're literally like, this came kind of from the air through a plant.
I mean, we sometimes use eggs as a benchmark, right? So, I mean, we have less than 10% of the carbon footprint of like an egg. Well below that.
Can you imagine the fraction you are from a cow?
There's no comparison. I mean, we don't do that comparison because, I mean, there is a lot of, I mean, again, people eat what they eat. I mean, there is this entire ecosystem around it. But at the same point, people think with their like mouths and their stomachs in terms of what they like and what they desire. But if they started thinking about it from the point of view of, is this really good for the environment? Then I think they'd make slightly different choices, I think.
This makes me wonder, like, we talk about all these different, like, functional snacks and stuff that are better for you. And, like, is this, like, an interestingly, like, different demographic of better for us as far as, like, sustainability is concerned? Is there something that's better for you and better for us? And this came from, like, a thought that I was having. It's, like, when you look at, like, the beverages and food that you're consuming, it's like, what are you doing for me lately? I mean, are you a booster, or are you like, dragging me down? Is this something that's like loaded with fat and sugar that I'm going to store, or is this something that's going to actually enhance my metabolism or my life?
I think this is such a nice way of putting it. I mean, my biggest challenge that I see with what we're doing right now is educating the people in terms of what just the thought structure in terms of what is it that they are really desire. Because what I want to do is stop people from thinking about, I'm eating a vegan protein, or I'm eating a vegetarian protein, or I'm eating a plant-based protein. Because people somehow, they're dialed in
Some
to kind of
people love
go
to
in
be
that
in a
direction.
box.
I think that's exactly it.
Consumers, when you think of it on a consumer level, yeah. That's how you market it.
That's what I'm thinking. But what I'd like people to think about is what I'm eating delicious? Is what I'm eating nutritious? Is it good for me? And then you come down to what you're talking about, which is it good for us? What am I doing? So there's a pecking
not only is
order
that
there.
good for you, but it's good for the environment.
It's good for everybody. So delicious, nutritious, sustainable,
What other challenges do you have other than education?
So I think obviously this is. I mean, the reason why we are all here talking about it is
Awareness,
right? I mean, people need to know that this exists. And it exists not only as something that is grown in ponds everywhere, it just naturally occurs, but it's a nutritious, delicious, and sustainable food source by itself and as the ingredient form that we produce. Now, there are people who know that. I mean, every trade show I go to, there's people who come up to me, shake my hand, and say, "Oh my God, I'm so happy you're finally making something. I've always wanted to consume duckweed, and the fact that you're doing this is a good thing," which surprises me. Like, I did not know enough about this.
Like when I sent you an email, it's like those people who know.
That's you're right. Those who know have known for a long time. And I am a convert. So when I first started, I'd heard of it because, I mean, I was in the area. I sold proteins before, so I knew that there was like this thing called duckweed. I just didn't know how good it was. And that's something to me, that sort of awareness, so people know what it is and people know it as a food source. I think that's a big deal. So I think that's important. I think the second thing that's important is I think there are so many. I mean, people talk about superfoods all the time, right? I mean, superfoods are things that have
Duckweed is the world's smallest superfood.
That's exactly it. I mean, the first thing is it is a superfood, and what makes it a superfood is all of these stacked benefits. So, you know, the macronutrients, it's got the best macronutrients that you want, and it is chock full of all the micronutrients that you can desire. And when you layer all that on top, I mean, it is one of the best superfoods I have ever seen. And I've seen a bunch of superfruits, right? I mean, I used to live in Brazil, and acai, there was this whole acai
that was the
craze.
thing.
It was amazing. And that's a great product. I mean, this has, I mean, obviously the levels and everything are different. I mean, I don't know if
the compounds that are antioxidants are completely different.
That's exactly right. I mean, they're totally different beasts. But the point is, this provides so many layered, structured benefits that it can stand on its own with any of the superfoods that you've seen in the world.
It used to be like a duckweed revolution, and then it becomes a fad and a craze, and everyone demands it.
Well, that's a good way of putting it.
It starts with conversations like this.
Yeah, I mean, think of acai. Everyone thinks of it as a superfood, but I mean, its antioxidants levels no real difference than a common orange.
Well, there's a whole bunch of different fruits that have like all these different respects of having antioxidant levels. Like some of it is the color components of that acai berry that make it so high antioxidant potential. But in the orange, it's vitamin C. And that works really well because it's native to the human body. But like those foreign antioxidants, they've got to do a little bit more work. They might not absorb very well. There's a whole lot of stipulations that come with that. And a lot of it is based on press. You know, you've got to have like some sort of like a landmark clinical study that's just like amazing. And then if you publish that and have a PR firm and do a press release, then you get caught up by the media and everything. And then all of a sudden you create this shitstorm.
Yeah.
Of like, oh my God, maybe we just should do that with duckweed.
Well, that's what we need to do. I mean, that's where, to me, it was amazing when Joey came up to me, right? I mean, going back to the beginning of our conversation, and he's like, "Hey, you guys have this. I want this." So I think we need cheerleaders like you to go up and kind of talk to people and the masses and say, "Look, this is an amazing food that you guys should consume more often to make life better in all these different ways." So I think that is like one challenge. So awareness is one challenge. Obviously, as a startup, I mean, we have the sort of two-layer version because we're a very small company. If we were a much larger company and we were basically going out with a large company marketing budget and all the team of people that could do it, I think we could accelerate that process a little bit. But being a startup comes with its own unique set of things that we have to solve, right?
You need investors, you need capitalization.
Yes.
And a lot of that goes into the facility.
It does. And we have great investors. They're so supportive. They have done a tremendous job of supporting the vision, walking with us as we go through this, the funding environment for startups.
There's clearly a very long-term plan here at play.
That's right. I mean, it's
doesn't
not
happen
something
overnight.
Nope, absolutely not. So I think that's the other piece, is just making sure that we can walk that journey together as a startup. And while we do that, we punch enough above our weight to get the awareness out for the rest of the people. And then I think another challenge is people, even when people hear about stuff, the food industry. I mean, Mike, I've been in the food industry for more than 20 years. I mean, you guys tell me, I mean, the nutrition industry is slightly different. The nutrition industry, usually every year, they look for new things. What's new? Of course. What's the best? What's going to give me benefit? The food industry, I feel, is a little bit more conservative. Yeah. And new things are taken a little bit with, it takes a longer amount of time for something new to get established and become mainstream.
Everything's kind of commoditized in a way.
So yeah, I mean, what people know and is very familiar, whether it's good for them or not, but a familiar food is much more accepted than an unfamiliar superfood. And I think that is something that we're also navigating. And then there's other companies like us who are doing this, right? In terms of how do you kind of transform the food industry? And I come back to the vision of Tony and Moritz, where, we are still using practices in the industry and ingredients in the industry that are so 3,000 years old. And you have people who keep saying that we should go back to the older ingredients and older practices, because what is old was always good, and what is new is treated with suspicion.
Well, you can blame the Industrial Revolution for quite a lot of that. But at the same time, I think we're in a generation where we've realized those mistakes, and we are repenting, and we are finding new ways, healthier ways to make things that not only taste good, but that the function's there.
Yeah. The complexity of it is it needs to be commercialized. It needs to be put into a product. That product needs to be marketed. There's different segments of demographics that have different needs that they want, problems that you're solving, right? Whether it's an allergen-based thing, whether it's a lifestyle-based thing, vegan over meat, or dairy, or any other type of animal byproduct or product. And then there's also the functional side, right? People wanting to add functional benefit, this plus, right?
That's right.
So that's a different consumer demographic in a certain sense. It's like they always say, if you're marketing everyone, you're marketing to no one. So you kind of have to find a super user base.
Yeah.
You need to find who your
weirdos
army.
like me.
Yeah, you need to find.
I like the tech version of it. It's come on, this protein and these greens were grown in the desert. That's so far out. I mean, you don't want to talk about acknowledging living in the future. This is pretty much it right here.
Well, I don't want to think of a future where I just eat this.
I don't either. But if the prices of whey protein keep going up, I am definitely going to have an open mind.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
Maybe there's an inevitability of something like that. Happen.
Where it's this is more sustainable. This is just as bioavailable.
But I think going back to the challenges thing is you kind of really have to find out who your customer is. I feel like,
and I think that's one of it. You're so right. It is one of the challenges that we face, because this is such a versatile product and ingredient that we are having to make choices.
You can get lost in the sauce. You can get lost in the sauce and go spend millions of dollars in one direction, and it's well, this could have gone in a million different directions.
That's right. And I think we just have to go step by step. So again, I mean, we talked about so many things. We talked about why it could be good for children, why it could be good for older people, why it could be good for women, why it could be good for athletes. Mm-hmm. Whole GLP-1 thing is important. Why is it for people who have allergies? Why it's good for people who need easy digestible protein. So there is such a set of stacked layers and benefits. One of my jobs, I mean, our team does this. So Tony and I talk about this very often, is what can we get the maximum impact with in the shortest amount of time? And that absolutely is a challenge, right? I mean, you can get lost in the sauce, and we don't want to do that. I mean, it's very popular sort of buzz phrase today is, I mean, you guys may laugh at this, but make America healthy again. Mm-hmm. I think that, to me...
We're more in touch with that than you can imagine.
I believe it, because there's I see so much politics on that side, but I really identify with the concept. Mm-hmm. Because I think Americans, I mean, we are people who have, I would say America is the greatest country in the world, right? I mean, and there's so many good things that we have. And the question then becomes, how do we take it to the next level? Yeah. How do we take American health to the next level? And I think duckweed should be a big part of that journey. I mean, obviously, a world with only duckweed in it kind of becomes like, there's a movie called Soylent Green. I don't know
Enough
if
of
you
that.
know.
Don't go in that direction.
But
I've heard of this movie.
but so that's sort of a more not so nice vision of the future. I'd like to have Soylent is not the only type of food product that you consume, and I think we are definitely one of the options that you can consider in a healthier world with many choices.
Yeah. So if the challenge is trying to find like a core consumer set, like where are you focusing now?
So
Obviously, protein's a big one.
So for Ruby, I think the biggest sweet spot we have found is Ruby as a nutritious and functional protein-based ingredient for things like bakery. Where, for bakery, if you have allergen-free bakery or gluten-free bakery, or people are trying to get out of eggs, that seems to be a really nice sweet spot for this to provide texture, nutrition, and supply chain stability.
So
and
like
even
on a
affordability.
foods.
So
Like
that's
the Skinny Bites.
Yeah.
the Skinny Bites is a great example of that. There's a couple of customers who are going to launch products nationally. We'll send out press releases about them, but you will see how exactly this gets used to make so much better, like delicious and nutritious ingredients, which are a step above and beyond where traditional sort of allergen-free and gluten-free products have been. So that's one. That's a really niche area, but I think that's an area that I think we can rule. But it's useful beyond that, right? So I know people are using it as a nutritional supplement. So they're using
That's
it
what the
as,
greens is for.
Well, the Ruby itself can be part of a plant-based, like we talked about earlier. So you mix a bunch of plant-based powders, but you use enough Ruby protein in it to round out that amino acid profile, and it's a very healthy ingredient. So those are sort of two big areas. We've seen a lot of interest in synthetic ingredient replacement. So people looking to replace things like methyl cellulose or carrageenan in products. So Ruby is a great emulsifier. It's a great gelling agent. And so in many applications which use methyl cellulose, which could be like bakery type applications or meat alternatives, it's a widely used ingredient. But if people don't want to use that for whatever
Didn't you guys
reason,
make a dumpling?
we did. We made a fantastic dumpling, and we made a vegan version of that. We made a plant-based version of that. We made a sort of hybrid meat version of that. And this ingredient, Ruby protein, works as a phenomenal binder for the meat-based products.
You know, like when you crack an egg into some hamburger meat, making meatballs, that kind of thing.
It's really cool. One of my favorite examples is there is this very traditional Dutch cookie that Tony absolutely loves. It's called the Geweld Cook. And he's got a funny name for it in English. He calls it an almond royale cookie.
Oh,
which is kind of nice.
fancy.
It's fancy. It is really, it's like culinary quality. It's got almond paste, which is sort of covered with this really rich cookie covering, and it's got a little glaze on top and a little almond that sits in the middle of it. It looks beautiful, it's delicious, and it's very traditional. Well, it uses eggs everywhere because it uses eggs in the almond paste to kind of stabilize the
And in the
paste.
cookie.
It uses eggs in the cookie dough to kind of get the structure, and then it uses eggs in the glaze to kind of get that. So, if you wanted a vegan version of that, it's kind of tough to do that. So what we made an almond royale with Ruby protein, replacing all three things. And it's fantastic. It's been so well received by so many people. So that's the sort of sweet spot I think we've started with. So it's some of the areas where we can get nutritious protein, which is very clean label, but provides the structure and also the nutrition that you expect from these ingredients. So, and then what we're looking to do is to kind of expand that horizon into different areas. And there's a lot of different areas that it can work in. It's a very versatile ingredient, so we can definitely see it like in ice cream. You know, we've made the vegan ice cream with Ruby. And it really makes a fantastic emulsified ice cream. It does a great job. We've seen that when you keep it in the freezer, it comes out looking creamy compared to like other sort of vegan additive-free ice creams. So ice crystal formation gets reduced over time when you put Ruby in there.
emulsify it in some sort of fat base in order to give it a creamy nature?
Yeah, so basically it's like if you take a standard plant-based ice cream recipe, which could be using vegetable oil or coconut oil or one of those types of...
I was thinking coconut oil.
milk.
You can use coconut milk if you want, and then you use some other kind of milk to kind of get the milky part of it. So it could be oat milk or soy milk or whatever you choose. You combine all that. You need sugar, obviously, because ice cream needs some sugar. I mean, there's different ways if you want low sugar ice cream.
Put allulose in it.
But you do that, you could put allulose syrup in it. It would be really nice. And then you combine all of that with normal ice cream as eggs, which kind of give it the structure, and the overhead, which is the air encapsulation that gets you the creaminess. Well, Ruby does all of that. So all of a sudden now you can make this beautiful ice cream, which has good taste and good freezer stability, which is amazing. We made some coatings with it. I mean, it's really amazing, right? So it's interesting to see all the different places where dairy and egg the ingredients, like milk and egg ingredients, get. So if you imagine you're having a fried chicken, when you have a fried chicken, a lot of times you use an egg wash to attach that batter to the chicken. Otherwise, it kind of just falls off. I mean, it's not good. And you can have milk proteins in that batter to kind of give it the color and the texture that you want. Well, Ruby does all of that. So it's an amazing area for Ruby to work in. So there are so many areas. I mean, confectionery is another one. Like if you imagine confectionery fillings, things like nougats. You use eggs typically in a traditional confectionery filling or nougat. Well, Ruby does all of that. And
Confectionery could be a pretty big opportunity too.
it is. I mean, so there are so many different areas that we have. And we're a small company. We're starting small. So we've kind of identified maybe bakery as one opportunity, maybe meat alternatives or binders as another one.
And then you have this like Lemna Plus for the potential for the nutritional supplement side.
And that's exactly right. So I think then the entire nutritional aspect is a whole other world. And that's where I think, to me...
Is the Lemna Plus, like, is it a byproduct or is it just like a different branch?
It was originally a waste stream that was upcycled into being something functional.
That's absolutely true. I mean, so originally when the vision was set up, Ruby Protein was the head product, and we had the Lemna Greens that were the co-product. And this was essentially being treated as, well, this is essentially a byproduct stream that has to be put to good use. And from there, I think the team came up with this combined vision saying, why does it need to be a waste stream? I mean, it is the ultimate example of an upcycled product because it is truly, it is the most nutritious thing that you can imagine. And we just have to make sure that we create a physical form. And the work, Joey, that you and TK and team are doing, it's amazing to see. I'm amazed at this shot, right? I mean, it's such a delicious shot. And you guys created it like that. I mean, it was so cool. I think if we had like a stick pack, a shot, a gummy, and I mean, we've done iced tea with this. We shared our iced tea with you. It's delicious.
Iced tea is classic.
I mean, you can do a Lemna iced tea. It's very nice, and it's much more nutritious than just iced tea. Yep. So there is this ultimate enhancement to our food system, our life that we can do based on all of these applications. So I think we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg, literally, because both these ingredients are extremely versatile. They're just beginning. I mean, our plant has existed for 2.5 years. I mean, so we're new. These ingredients are new to the world, right? I mean, the plant has existed for centuries. I mean, people have eaten this for so long that it's been well known in many parts of the world for generations. But the ability to extract the benefits from this and to put them in these nutrient-rich ingredients that people can use in today's food and nutritional industry, that is brand new. So, I mean, talking about challenges, that's an area that...
Yeah, like how do you market it? Like, where do you go? Where do you put the money? Where do you put the spend? Where do you focus and put your sales team's efforts? And
I think it's about educating people about the plant because it's so damn cute.
It is. It's I mean, a little duckweed. I think
the cutest little superfood that you've never heard about.
That's right.
All right. So if people want to find you and get in contact with you and they're like, all right, I'm all in on this, either Ruby Protein or the greens, where do we find you?
Well,
you guys are on Instagram.
We are on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. They can reach me.
Yeah.
They can always reach out to me by email or by phone. I mean, all of those
Yadu-Dar. It sounds just like it sounds, or
Just like it
spelled
is.
just like it sounds.
Yadu-Dar@plantablefoods.com. I mean, that's the best way to reach out to me, or through LinkedIn, or reach out to Plantable. I mean, if you go to our website,
Sounds like a name off Dune.
Yeah.
it is absolutely. I have Paul, House of Atreides. House of Atreides in my collaboration goes back many generations. at least since I was a teenager, I have been very involved with the House of Atreides.
Nice.
But that's a whole other discussion. We can get into that. But if you go to our website, there is a button there that says "Contact Us." You click that. That'll eventually come to our team.
Okay. Plantablefoods.com, Plantible. Plantable Foods, or just Plantable on LinkedIn?
It's plantable.com.
Okay. Plantable. No, on Instagram.
It's I should know that off the top of my head, but
Bro, you got to be on your socials. That's how most of
exactly.
our people operate.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
LinkedIn would be the place to find Yadu for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're looking for Yadu, but you should really, I would encourage the audience, go to their website and just check out how sick their photography is. And you can see it on it. So it's Plantable Foods.
Plantable Foods is the
So PLANTIBLEFOODS on Instagram, and everything you guys do is just beautiful.
Thank you. I think I really appreciate that.
Your branding, your whole set that you have is fantastic.
I think this is full credit goes to Tony and Moritz, because they have spent so much. It's been all carefully crafted. I think it's their combined vision, and they have really made a big effort to keep it focused on that vision.
Yeah, and I definitely want to either have Tony on, or we'll have him come out to an event probably later on this year.
I think it's a great idea for Tony to be here. And it's just to reconfirm, the website and Instagram are both plantablefoods.com.
Yep.
So that's where you'll find us.
All right. Thank you for coming and enlightening everyone on the beauty that is Lemna, Yadu.
Thank you for this great conversation, Joey, TK. I think it is a beautiful opportunity. It's a beautiful plant, and hopefully we can all work together to grow it into something much bigger for us and everybody else around us.
Close us out, TK.
And we're done.
See ya.